Hi everybody, and welcome to an afternoon of Poe and Friends. I'm Dr. Seal, and these are going to be my drama for honor students and the amazing musicians and the orchestra and the Seal band, and it's been my privilege to work with all of these artists and be here at Poe High School. It's my first year, and thank you for being so welcome. And when asked you, make sure that you keep your phones off, and please don't text. The glow in the audience really distracts the actors, and make sure that you're very quiet because a lot of the performance is going to be directed right out to the house, and we don't want to distract any of the actors. We want them to be as focused as they can be. So we're going to go ahead and start. And again, I'm really glad you came. Thanks.
Jake, stop.
Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered, weak and weary, over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore. While I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as if someone gently rapping at my chamber door. 'Tis some visitor, I muttered, tapping at my chamber door. Only this and nothing more.
Distinctly, I remembered. It was in the bleak December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly, I wished the morrow. Vainly, I had sought to borrow from my books surcease of sorrow. Sorrow for the lost Lenore, for the rare and radiant maiden whom the angels named Lenore. Nameless here forevermore.
In a silken, sad, uncertain rustling of each purple curtain, thrilled me with terrors never felt before, so that now to still the beating of my heart I still repeating.
'Tis some visitor intriguing interest at my chamber door.
Some late visitor intriguing interest at my chamber door. This it is, and nothing more.
Presently, my soul was stronger, hesitating, then no longer. Sir, said I, or madam, truly your forgiveness I implore. But the fact is I was napping, and so gently you came tapping, and so faintly you came tapping at my chamber door, that I scarce was sure I heard you. Here I opened wide the door. Dark was there, and nothing more.
Deep into that darkness peering, long I stood there wondering,
Fearing,
Doubting,
dreaming dreams no mortal ever dared to dream before. But the silence was unbroken, and the stillness gave no token. And the only word there spoken was the whispered word, Lenore. This I whispered, and an echo murmured back the word, Lenore. Merely this, and nothing more.
back into my chamber turning. Soon again, I hear a tapping, somewhat louder than before. Let me see then what the rap is and its mystery explore. Let my heart be still a moment and its mystery explore. 'Tis the wind and nothing more.
but the raven sitting lonely on that placid bustle only, that one word, as if his soul in that one word he did outpour. Nothing farther than he uttered, not a feather than he fluttered, till I scarcely more than muttered. Other friends have flown before. On tomorrow he will leave me, as my hopes have flown before. Then the bird said, nevermore.
Startled by the stillness broken, by reply so aptly spoken, what it utters is its only stock and store, caught from some unhappy master, whom unmerciful disaster followed faster, till his songs one burden bore, till the dirges of his hope one melancholy burden bore, of never, nevermore.
Much I marvel, this ungainly fowl, to hear discourse so plain. Duty answer little meaning, little relevance poor. For we cannot help agreeing that no living human being was ever yet will blessed with seeing a bird above his chamber door. Bird or beast upon the sculpture bust above his chamber door, with such a name as Nevermore.
The beast sitting lonely on his placid bust spoke only so little, as so little, in this one word he outpoured again. Then the bird said, nevermore.
Then methought the air grew denser, perfumed from an unseen censer, swung by seraphims whose footfalls tinkled on the tufted floor. Wretch, I cried, thy God hath lent thee. These angels he has sent thee, respite,
Respite!
and nepenthe for thy memories of Lenore. Quaff, oh quaff, this kind nepenthe, or forget this lost Lenore. Quoth the raven, nevermore.
But the raven still beguiling, all my fancy into smiling. Straight I wheeled the cushion sheet in front of the dirty busting door. Then upon the velvet sinking, I betook myself to linking, fancy unto fancy thinking, with this ominous bird, with this ominous, grim, ghastly, gaunt, and ominous bird of your mention croaking, nevermore.
This I sat, engaged in guessing, but no syllable, expressing to the fowl whose fiery eyes might burn into my bosom's core. This and more I sat divining, with my head at ease reclining on the cushion's velvet lining, that the lamplight gloated o'er. But whose velvet violet lining that the lamplight gloated o'er? She shall press nevermore.
Then methought the air grew denser, perfumed from an unseen censer, swung by seraphim whose footfalls tinkled on the tufted floor. Wretch, I cried, thy God hath lent thee, by these angels he hath sent thee, respite, and nepenthe for thy memories of Lenore. Quaff, oh quaff this kind nepenthe, forget this lost Lenore. Quoth the raven, nevermore.
Prophet!
Said I.
Thing of evil! Whether bird or devil, if tempter sink or tempest toss thee ashore, desolate, yet all undaunted. On this home by horror haunted, on this desert land enchanted. Tell me truly, I am Lord. Tell me, is there balm in Gilead? Tell me, I am Lord.
Quoth the raven.
Nevermore.
Prophet,
Said I.
thing of evil. Prophet still, if bird or devil. By that heaven that bends above us, by that God we both adore. Tell this soul with sorrow laden, if within the distant alien, it shall clasp a sainted maiden, whom the angel named Lenore. Clasp a rare and radiant maiden, whom the angel named Lenore. Quoth the raven, nevermore.
Be that word or sign of parting, bird or fiend, I shriek upstarting. Let thee into the tempest or the night's Plutonian shore. Leave no black plume as a token of the lie thy soul has spoken. Leave my loneliness unbroken. Quit the bust above my door. Take thy beak from out my heart, and quit the bust above my door. Quoth the raven, nevermore. And the raven, never flitting, still is sitting, on the pallid bust of Pallas just above my chamber door.
In his eyes have the scenes of a demon that is dreaming.
And the screaming lamplight throws his shadow on the floor.
And my soul from out that shadow that lies floating on the floor shall be lifted nevermore.
have been.
and down.
But why will you say that I am mad?
The disease had sharpened my senses, not destroyed.
Not dull them.
Above all was the sense of hearing.
I heard all things in heaven and in earth.
I heard many things in hell.
How then am I mad?
Hearken!
And observe how helpfully, how calmly I can tell you the whole story.
It is impossible to say how first the idea entered my brain, but once conceived, it haunted me day and night.
Object, there was none.
Passion, there was none.
I love the old man.
He
He
had
has never wronged me.
He had never given me an insult.
For his gold, I had no desire.
I think it was his eye.
Yes,
it was this.
He had the eye of a vulture, a pale blue eye with a film over it.
Whenever it fell upon me, my blood ran cold.
and so, by degrees,
Very gradual.
I made up my mind to take the life of the old man, and thus rid myself of the eye forever.
Now this is the point.
you fancy me.
Mad?
Madmen know nothing, but you should have seen me. You should have seen how wisely I proceeded. With what caution, with what foresight, with what dissimulation. I went to work.
I was never kinder to the old man than during the whole week before I killed him. And every night,
About midnight,
I turned the latch of his door and opened it.
Oh, so gently.
And then, when I had made an opening sufficient for my head, I put in a dark lantern, all closed, that no light shone out.
And then I thrust in my head. Oh, you would have laughed to see how cunningly I thrust it in.
I moved it slowly, very, very slowly, so that I might not disturb the old man's sleep.
It took me an hour to place my whole head within the opening, so far that I could see him as he lay upon his bed. Ha!
Would a madman have been so wise as this?
And then, when my head was well in the room, I undid the lantern cautiously.
Oh, so cautiously. Cautiously.
I undid it just so much that a single thin ray fell upon the vulture's eye. And this I did for 7 long nights.
Every night, just at midnight.
But I found the eye always closed, and so it was impossible to do the work.
For it was not the old man who vexed me.
But his evil eye.
And every morning, when the day broke, I went boldly into the chamber and spoke courageously to him, calling him by name in a hearty tone.
Good morning, sir.
And inquiring how he has passed the night.
And how was your night's sleep?
So you see, he would have been a very profound old man indeed to suspect that every night.
Just at 12.
I looked in upon him while he slept.
Upon the 8th night, I was more than usually cautious in opening the door. A watch's minute hand moves more quickly than did mine. Never before that night had I felt the extent of my own powers, of my sagacity.
I could scarcely contain my feelings of triumph to think that there I was.
Opening the door.
Little by little. And he not even to dream of the secret deeds or thoughts. I fairly chuckled at the idea.
And perhaps he heard me, for he moved on the bed suddenly, as if startled.
Now you may think that I drew back, but no,
His room was as black as pitch, with a dark thickness.
for the shutters were close fastened through fear of robbers.
And so I knew that he could not see the opening of the door, and I kept pushing on it steadily.
There.
I had my head in and was about to open the lantern when my thumb slipped upon the tin fastener, and the old man sprang up in bed crying out,
Who's there?
I kept still and said,
nothing.
for a whole hour I did not move a muscle.
And in the meantime, I did not hear him lie down.
He was still sitting up on the bed listening,
Just as I have done.
night after night.
Hearkening to the death watches in the wall.
Presently, I heard a slight groan, and I knew that it was the groan of mortal terror.
It was not a groan of pain or grief.
Oh no,
It was the low, stifled sound that arises from the bottom of the soul when overcharged with awe.
I knew the sound well. Many a night, just at midnight, when all the world slept, it has welled up from my own bosom, deepening with its dreadful echo the terrors that distracted me.
I say I knew it well.
I knew what the old man felt and pitied him, although I chuckled at heart. I knew that he had been lying awake ever since the first silent noise, when he had turned in the bed.
His fears had been ever since growing upon him,
He had been trying to visit them causeless.
but could not.
He had been saying to himself,
It is nothing but the wind in the chimney. It is only a mouse crossing the floor.
or
It is merely a cricket which has made a single chirp.
Yes, he had been trying to comfort himself with these suppositions, but he had found all in vain.
All in vain.
because
Death.
and approaching him stopped with a black shadow before him and enveloped the victim.
And so, although he never saw nor heard, he began to feel the presence of my head within the room.
I waited a long time, very patient.
Without hearing him lie down.
So I resolved to open a little crevice in the lantern.
So I opened it.
You cannot imagine how stealthily,
Until a simple dim ray,
Like the thread of a spider,
shot from out of the crevice, fell upon the vulture eye.
it was open.
Wide open.
And I grew furious as I gazed upon it.
I saw it with perfect distinctness.
All a dull blue.
With a hideous veil over it that chilled the very marrow in my bones.
But I could see nothing else of the old man's face or person, for I directed the ray, as if by instinct, precisely upon the damned spot.
And have I not told you that what you mistake for madness is but over acuteness of the sense?
Now I say, there came to my ears a low, dull, quick sound, such as a watch makes when it's enveloped with cotton. I knew that sound well, too.
It was the beating of the old man's heart.
It increased my fury, as the beating of a drum stimulates the soldier into courage.
But even yet, I refrained and kept still.
I scarcely breathed.
I held the lantern motionless.
I tried how steadily I could maintain the rate upon the eve.
Meantime, the hellish tattoo of the heart increased.
You go quicker and quicker and louder every instant.
The old man's terror must have been extreme.
It grew louder, I say, louder every moment.
Do you mark me well? I have told you that
I am nervous.
So am I.
And now, at the dead hour of the night,
Amid the dreadful silence of that old house,
So strange a noise as this excited me to uncontrollable terror.
Yet, for some minutes longer, I refrained and stood still.
but the beating grew louder, louder.
I thought the heart must burst.
And now a new anxiety seized me. The sound would be heard by a neighbor.
The old man's hour had come.
With a loud yell, I threw open the lantern and leaped into the room.
he shrieked once.
Once on.
In an instant, I dragged him to the floor and pulled the heavy bed over him.
I then smiled gaily to find the deed so far done.
But for many minutes, the heartbeat on the muffled sound.
This, however, did not vex me.
It would not be heard through the wall.
At length, it ceased.
The old man was dead.
I removed the bed.
And examined the corpse.
Yes,
He
he was stoned.
Stone dead.
I placed my hand upon the heart and held it there for many minutes. Then, no pulsation. He was stone dead. His eye would show me no longer.
If you still think me mad, you will think so no longer when I describe the wise precautions I took for the concealment of the body.
The night waned,
I worked hastily.
but in silence.
First of all, I dismembered the corpse. I cut off the head and the arms and the legs.
I then took up 3 planks from the flooring of the chamber and deposited all between the scantlings. I then replaced the board so cleverly, so cunningly, that no human eye, not even his, could have detected anything wrong.
There was nothing to wash out. No stain of any kind. No blood spot, whatever. I've been too wary for that. A tub, I caught all.
When I had made the end of the labors, it was 4 o'clock. Still dark as midnight.
As the bell sounded the hour, there came a knocking at the street door.
So I went down to open it with a light heart.
But what had I now to fear?
There entered 3 men who introduced themselves with perfect suavity as
Officers of the police. A shriek has been heard in the night by a neighbor.
Suspicion of foul play has been aroused. Information has been lodged at the police office.
and they, the officers, have been deputed to search the premises.
I smiled.
So what had I to fear?
I bade the gentleman.
Welcome.
The shriek
I said.
was my own in a dream. The old man
I mentioned.
was absent in country.
I took my visitors all over the house. I bade them search. Search well. I led them at length to his chamber.
I showed them his treasure, secure, undisturbed.
In the enthusiasm of my confidence, I brought chairs into the room and desired them here to rest from their fatigues while I myself, in the wild audacity of my perfect triumph, placed my own seat upon the very spot beneath which reposed the corpse of the victim.
The officers were satisfied.
My manner had convinced them.
I was singularly at ease.
They sat, and while I answered cheerily, they chatted of familiar things.
But ere long, I felt myself getting pale and wished them gone.
My head ached.
And I fancied a ringing in my ears.
But still they sat, and still they chatted.
The ringing became more distant.
It continued and became more distinct.
I talked more freely to get rid of the feeling.
But it continued and gained definiteness until at length I found the noise was not within my ears.
No doubt I now grew very pale.
But I talked more fluently and with a heightened voice.
Yet the sound increased, and
What could I do?
Just was a low, dull, quick sound.
much such a sound as a watch makes when enveloped in cotton.
I gasped for breath.
Yet the officers heard it not.
I talked more quickly, more vividly.
But the noise steadily increased.
I arose and argued about trifles in a high key and with violent gesticulations.
But the noise steadily increased.
Why would they not be gone? I paced the floor to and fro with heavy strides, as if excited by the fury, by the observations of the men. But the noise steadily increased. Oh God!
What could I do?
I foamed.
I ran.
I swore.
I swung the chair upon which I had been sitting and grated it upon the boards, but the noise arose over all and continually increased. It grew louder, louder, louder.
And still the men chatted pleasantly.
And smiled.
Was it possible they heard not? Almighty God!
No. They heard.
Disrespect.
They knew.
They were making a mockery of my horror.
This I thought, and this I think. But anything was better than this agony. Anything was more tolerable than this derision. I could bear those hypocritical smiles no longer. I felt that I must scream or die.
And now, hark! Louder! Louder!